Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. I am Simply G, and I hope this video finds you in good health and everyone's staying safe and self-isolating whilst the world is kind of not doing too well right now. Today I'm going to be showing off all of the anime and anime adjacent things that I got throughout this month of March 2020. There's not a huge amount here, but there are some things that I wanted to talk about regardless. I bought most of this, well, all of this actually, prior to the global pandemic really hitting. So of course, these coming months, I will probably still have items that I've pre-ordered or small things here and there. But of course, like with everyone, it's a very unsure time right now. And of course, collecting and buying things and, buying hobby stuff is not my priority, especially when I do have so many things that I can read or reread or read for the first time that I already have, or watch and rewatch again. So yes, there are a couple things that I bought here with birthday money, stuff like that. My birthday is at the beginning of March, so there's a couple unusual items. Hopefully you guys find them interesting, and I'll get straight into it. So I'm going to start with the merchandise. The first is from a show or a series that is very near and dear to my heart. It's in my top 10. The anime is phenomenal, and I got this through Osukai actually, which is kind of it's sort of like a Japanese proxy where you put in a request for a specific item that you want, and then the Japanese side, they have people who will take up your offer and offer you that item at various prices, and there can be sort of competition, people giving competitive types of pricing for similar items, that sort of thing. I find it really good if it's a hard to find item. Their prices aren't really, they're not overtly terrible. They are overpriced, but the prices do include shipping, which I think is a really good thing. So it's just like one big cost, like one upfront cost, rather than paying an amount and then getting an additional payment request for shipping or taxes or whatever else. I do think that if you're looking for something that's very hard to find, it is a good thing, because this item and then one of the other items or a couple of the other items I'm going to show off are things that I was looking for myself and wasn't able to find. Actually, all of the merchandise was stuff that I wasn't able to find, but they did, and it was really it made it a lot easier for me. But this first item is actually an acrylic stand. I don't buy these a huge amount, but there's no merchandise for this series whatsoever, because that tends to be the case with my favorites. And this is one of the acrylic charms / stands from Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju. So this is Kiku. It's our main character as a younger man. This did have a set of 4, or they were sold individually, like in packaging like so. But there was 4 different types. So we have this character as a young man. We have this character as an older man. We have his sort of apprentice, and then also his rival. So really the main characters of the series. There also was, I think there was also 2 bonus ones with his kind of aide, his housekeeper, if you would. Matsuda. Is it Matsuda? I think so. And then also like really young child Kiku. So they are I think they were a limited run. They were only sold at specific stores, and it is impossible to find them online. I did put out a haul for the whole set because I'm looking for all of them, and this is the only one that was able to be found. You keep an eye out for merchandise because sometimes it'll take you a long time, but eventually things do pop up. And so I'm hoping that one day in the future I'll find more characters for this, because again, it's a series that's very near and dear to my heart. It's, if you are new to the channel, or if you haven't heard me talk about Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, or also known as Descending Stories, it is a manga about the life of a Rakugo performer throughout the Showa period. So that is pre and post war. I think it follows his life from really the beginning of the Showa period, which was the mid-20s, 1920s, all the way up until the end of the Showa period, which was the late 80s. It's very, very, very good. Obviously, it's about the traditional art of Rakugo, or storytelling. It's an intensely intimate character drama about this character and his relationship with his art and the people around him, and the hopelessness of the changing in tastes and the modern movement within Japan, especially post-war. It's so good. I've gushed about the series so much before. The manga is available in its entirety from Kodansha. I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend the 2-season anime adaptation. It's on Crunchyroll to stream, and was done by Studio Dean in probably their best ever anime. I just adore it, and the Rakugo performances are phenomenal. You owe it to yourself to watch it. It's an anime that really shows and proves and transcends what anime really can be, and for that, it's just, yeah, I adore it. So yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer. It's this item and the other in its set are ones that I've been, as I said, looking for a long time, but I just have to be a little bit patient, I think, in order to find more of them, because I would love to have the full set. Next are some items that you may have seen other prior pickup videos. Sometimes I used to show them off, sometimes I didn't, just because I wasn't sure how many people would be interested in it. But this, these are items from Kyoto Animation's birthday merchandise that they put out for some of their characters. Ever since they started doing them for the first season of Free, I've been buying them for free. So this is the most recent set. The whole birthday theme is Link Up Smile. I'm not quite sure. It comes with a puzzle piece type of coaster thing, but it's I think that all of them have drinks. So I don't know if these boys are meant to be drinking, if these are meant to be alcoholic drinks, because some of them are not allowed. They're not old enough to be drinking. But both of these, in fact, were actually ones that I missed just because I didn't get the opportunity to order them from Kyoto Animation's site when they were up for pre-order. So I missed the pre-order period. And so sometimes it can be a little bit hit or miss as to whether or not you can find them in the aftermarket. And both of these characters, one of them I didn't have an issue with, or at least I knew that it would probably be easier to find because it was the March release. But the other character, I looked everywhere, and I still haven't really finished getting his items that I wanted. But, I don't know how. Okay, I'll just show. So first of all, we have the most recent set, or the most recent release, which is March. This is March 3rd, and this is for the character Ikuya Kirishima, who is sort of a major character in the Free Starting Days movie, as well as the 3rd season. So we have the clear file. I always get the clear file, if nothing else, but this set I also decided to get the rubber strap as well, which is something I haven't done since the beginning, since the starting. I got the rubber strap set for the first set that I got, but this is the only other one that I have. So I've been collecting these. The other character that I missed pre-order for, and I'm still looking for his rubber strap because that I don't know what happened. I know this character isn't that popular. He's never been that popular. He's always been sort of a supporting character, more so than a actual like main character, but I still love him. And I was really happy that at least I was able to find his clear file, and that is Aichiro Nitori. So this is one of the Samazuka swimmers. He is Rin's like under Kohai, his underclassman. And in the 3rd season, he is the captain of the Samazuka team. Oh, this little duckling. He's a sweetheart. I love him. But yeah, I could not find his merchandise anywhere. And I'm happy that, as I said, I was able to at least get his clear file, because I have the clear files as for every single year that they put out the free releases. So even if I never find the rubber strap, which I really hope that I do, because I'd hate to be missing a boy, at least I would still have the full set with all of the artwork. So if you're not familiar with Kyoto Animation's birthday merchandise that they do, they put out various items. There's always a clear file. There's always some sort of rubber strap. There's usually like can badge pins that they put out. There's sometimes like acrylic stands, like the wall hanging tapestry sort of thing. Sometimes little plush or cushioned keychain type of thing. So there's lots of different things that they put out over the years, and every year they've had a theme. The first year was, I believe, no, I don't remember. I really don't remember. The first year, they all had a specific flower that they had. The following year was Fresh Fruit Birthday, which was, they all had a different like fruity pastry incorporated into the artwork design. And depending on the year, it also depends on which characters are featured, because obviously some years characters are more prominent than others. After the first season, we had really just the main cast, so Haru, Makoto, Nagisa Rei, Rin, and I think maybe Nitori was included. I can't really remember. And then the following year, or the following promotional period, we had the inclusion of Sosuke, who of course was the new character. We also had the inclusion of Momotaro, who was another main character. And then later, when we had the films, we had the introduction and the inclusion of Natsuya and Nao, who are the senpai from the films and who have just been kind of included in the larger group since, because they are now being included in the 3rd season and other stuff. The 2nd season also, I think they started including Kisumi with the 2nd season. I can't really remember. Who is, again, just like a supporting character. He's not really that prominent. But also with the films and Natsuya now, we had Ikuya, who of course is here, and then also Asahi. So yeah, over the course of my buying these clear files for close to probably 7 years now at this point, the actual group has just grown larger and larger and larger. So it's a little bit harder to keep up to date with all of them. But nonetheless, I am a huge fan of Free. I really make no secret of it. And I really appreciate how much that KyoAni puts into their characters and promoting their characters and celebrating their characters, because as I said, they've done this for free ever since the series started. They've also done it for other series, most notably Sound Euphonium, I think is the major one, where they put out merchandise for the characters' birthdays. Because I don't know if I pointed out here, but like you'll see in the corner, it actually has the date, so when their birthday is. So January 4th and then March the 3rd, which is a day after my birthday. So yes, it's it's not really a necessary thing, but I don't think merchandise ever is. and as such a huge fan, it kind of is a no-brainer. But with the only ones we're waiting for now are Asahi and Kisumi, who have already been pre-ordered and I've paid for, but haven't yet been released in Japan yet because their birthdays don't happen until later into the year. And it's a little bit interesting because to see how, despite all of the impact that obviously KyoAni had, all of their troubles that they had last year, they never really stopped with their merchandise production. They always wanted to keep their fans satisfied, even when they weren't able to be making the anime that they wanted to. It's a small gesture of my support, aside from watching their shows and buying their shows. And again, it was something I was already doing, so yes. And finally, for this video, we have the actual anime that I'm going to be talking about. This is an Australian release. I used to own this series a long time ago. I don't know. I think it may have gotten on hold at some point. I don't think by me. Either that or I've lost it somewhere. Who knows? It disappeared. I might have lent it out and just never gotten it back. Anyways, this is a series that I've talked a lot about the manga for. I've talked about the creator before as well. I have the Australian release for this because it has never been released in English anywhere aside from Australia. So this is an exclusive title. It's not in print though, so it is harder to find. I found mine secondhand for fairly cheap, which is why I jumped on it when I did, because it's one that I've been wanting to return to the collection for a long time. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went. And this is the 2011, I believe, anime adaptation of Hakaba Kitaro, or GeGeGe Kitaro. This is the Noitamine version of this show. So I've talked about Kitaro before. We have sporadic releases of the original manga by Shigeru Mizuki being put out by Drawn Quarterly. Kitaro is sort of the original yokai manga. It is hugely beloved and influential in Japan. Mizuki created this really fun, kooky, weird, bit of, just a naughty little yokai boy called Kitaro, who's the last of the Ghost Clan, and he's sort of a mediator between yokai, so traditional like Japanese spirits and monsters, and humanity. And the original series itself, the manga, is quite episodic. It's a kid's, sort of very simple manga in the vein of like a newspaper comic, or, a lot of the older stuff coming from that period. It's very reminiscent of something like Dennis the Menace almost. Also, like Goosebumps, it has that kind of fun, creepy vibe, weird vibe that kids really enjoy. And as I said, is hugely, hugely beloved, respected, well-known in Japan. Now, ever since the manga was being made in I believe it was the late 60s, early 70s, we have had an anime adaptation, or Japan has had an anime adaptation of Kitaro. So there has been a series for Kitaro coming out every decade since the manga has been published or been written, which means that, we've had one in the 70s, 80s, 90s, two in the early 2000s, and just recently, the most recent one, which was GeGeGe no Kitaro, just finished like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that was our 2010s quote-unquote version. And it will not surprise me if we continue to see Kitaro get adapted for modern audiences, because the great thing about Kitaro stories is that because they're for kids, they're definitely moral plays. They're kind of like fairy tales. They have a story to them and, consequences. There's a moral to watching them. and it's quite easy to adapt the series to modern audiences. I have been watching the most recent adaptation. It's very, very good. I think it covers a lot of issues that modern kids have and I'm sure are feeling. And so that's the great thing about Kitaro, like with a lot of these very classic characters that we see being reimagined time and time again, is that they have a timelessness to them, that kids or people of any age and any period of time can find value in the stories. So this is an earlier adaptation. It is only 11 episodes long. It's from, I believe, 2011, and is a little bit darker, maybe a little bit more weird than some of the other anime adaptations, which were definitely more focused for kids. The animation style is really interesting. You can see here. And yes, again, as I said, this is a kids series, not this one necessarily. It's more of a more adult or more mature version of a Kitaro adaptation, possibly for people who grew up with the series when they were younger and really love the character and love him in the world, but are maybe a bit old for a more kind of Saturday night or Saturday morning cartoon style of adaptation. And believe me, Kitaro gets weird, it gets creepy, so you can really push that to a more mature audience. Even the recent modern version, although very clearly for kids, there are some things that are like, oh my gosh, that's a bit scarring. But that's what kids thrive on. They really like being pushed and not being taken, underestimated. It's really interesting, and I think that's just the great part of Kitaro, and the fact that Australia got this version of the series in any sort of release is still it's not surprising to me necessarily, because at the time Siren Visual, who released this, were focusing on all of the Noitamane shows. So some of their releases like this, like with Welcome to Irabu's Office, aka Trapeze, they never got a release anywhere else. And that was purely because the CEO or the person who was in charge really liked Noitamane and liked less conventional, less popular titles. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that gamble really worked out for them, because they no longer exist. And I think there's a mixture of reasons for that, but the niche quality of their titles in such a small market like Australia does mean that it probably wasn't as viable an option as it would be in the United States or a larger English-speaking market, which is a shame, because I have a lot of titles that they released, some that were and still are exclusive to Australia, some that were later licensed in the US, things like House of Five Leaves and Bunny Drop, but this and Norame Cantabile and the other Monster, of course, is sort of the go-to. Everyone remembers that. And Welcome to Irabu's Office. They had a lot of really, really wonderful titles that nobody else was interested in. And I really wish that they would have been able to continue that. But unfortunately, I think just the switching of all of the business deals of how companies partner with other companies, like Funimation and Sony and all of these, and then other Japanese companies wanting to break into the market, things like Aniplex and again Sony. It just made it really hard for a small local boutique licensor to continue doing what they were doing, even if they had support from fans and had support internationally, especially with like the Monster DVD release. So Kitaro is definitely not one of their most popular titles, even for a company that kind of specialized in titles that weren't popular, but it is one that I really value they having released. Again, it's out of print, but I'm sure you could maybe hunt down a copy or two around for retail value, which is about 50 Australian dollars. You're not necessarily going to find it for cheap, just because I don't think they made a lot of copies of this, because I think they knew that they weren't going to sell a lot of copies of this, even for years and years and years after Sentai kind of, or not Sentai, Siren kind of disappeared. Kitaro was around in sort of bargain bins or at half off at a lot of stores here for a long time. Now that time has passed and you can't find it anywhere. So if you are wanting a copy, it's not as easy as it might be for other titles. But needless to say, I really like this adaptation. I really like Kitaro, full stop. I really like this adaptation, of course, because it does have a little bit more teeth to it as a older, watcher. It feels more well-tuned to what I would typically expect from a Noitamane show versus like a Kitaro anime. I am really happy that Kitaro continues to be such a beloved series in Japan, and for very good reason. I'm very happy that we have continued to see really wonderful adaptations of the manga in Japan. And again, even if you can't watch this version of the show, I do recommend the most recent one. It is on Crunchyroll. It's 97 episodes long, so there's plenty to watch if you're looking for something to stream whilst you're stuck at home. And of course, we have 7 volume releases of the original manga as well from Drawn Quarterly, and that is getting close to, I think, all of the chapters. I think it'll round out at 10. Who knows? I don't really, but it'd be nice to see more of that, and I do hope that people continue to support it whilst it is being licensed and released in English. So that is everything that I got for this month of March in regards to anime and merchandise. Obviously not a huge amount here because there's never a huge amount that I buy, aside from was it last month or was it January? One of those months was horrifically large, but we all know that. I've gone over that before. I hope everyone is staying sane and safe and healthy. We are in very uncertain times right now, and the most we can do is look after ourselves, look after the people we care about, and that may be staying away from the people that we care about, because that's the right thing to do. Let me know your thoughts on any of the titles that I talked about today, whether that be in the anime form or in manga as well, of course. My manga pickups will be in a separate video as per always, and also as always, my link to my Twitter and anything else is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye till then.